Hey guys, Delaney here. Today is part 3 of our lambing prep series. In videos 1 and 2, we created our lists and also talked about ways where we can get some of the supplies cheaper as well as some ways to get them for free. In today's video, what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the supplies we have on farm and actually check off the lists that we made to make sure that we have everything, and then also to keep those marks open for all the items that we need to buy. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2 of this series, I highly recommend going back and checking them out. This video will make a whole lot more sense once you've seen those videos. I'm not really going to explain too much about what the items are for and what we've used them for and sort of some of our experience, because we've already gone through that in 1 and 2. What today's purpose really is to just go through supplies, maybe show you guys what these items look like if you're not quite sure. And what I'm going to do is use the lists that we made in videos 1 and 2 to actually go through our supplies and check off what we have. That way I can look at the list and see what boxes have not been ticked, and I know what to purchase either in store or online. If you have made it to video 3 and have watched it all the way through, you are my people. My fellow shepherds or aspiring shepherds, and I absolutely love you guys. This stuff is not easy, it's pretty dense and detailed, and I know these videos are not going to be for everyone. That's why I know if you've made it this far, you and I are going to be really good friends, because you love sheep as much as I do and want to just absorb and learn as much as you possibly can so that you can care for these animals as best as you can. And that is someone who connects to my heartstrings, because that's what we do on our farm. We take care of them as best we can, as best as we can afford, as much as we physically are capable of doing. We put our all into these animals. So I have a feeling if you're on here listening to this stuff that you believe that too, and I'm so glad to have you guys here. Okay. Enough sappiness, let's get to work. I probably won't go in order of the lists that we made in 1 and 2, mostly because what I have and what I'm going to show you is items in different bins, and they're in different bins for particular reasons. It makes it easier for me to find out in the barn because these items are kind of categorized and they're more together, and they're located in places that are the most convenient for when I need them. For example, I have a lambing tote. These are stuff that I need every time a ewe goes into labor, and I need to be able to pick it up and go and not have to sort through anything. So this is sort of what I call my lambing tote. This is just the things that I need immediately. I have another bin that I sort most of my medical stuff in, so any vitamins that I need to give, needles, syringes, both the injectable kind and the oral. This bin is specifically for items that are for their health, and I want them all together so that if we end up having a problem, I know exactly where everything is. And all the ways to give the sheep these medicines are all together, and I don't have to go look for them. And then I have a basket of sort of general items like towels, paper towels, and then some of my items for the milking itself. Hopefully we wouldn't need to milk right away, but I want them out in case a ewe doesn't take a lamb and I'm having to milk straight away. I want to make sure that I have what I need there. I also have a dresser and a top shelf in our milking parlor, and this is for items that we don't use very frequently. It's more of like a once a year type things, and I like to go through those as well, just in case there's something in there that got thrown in that shouldn't be in there, but I was just going really quickly and I wasn't thinking. So I'll go through those. I won't go through the dressers and the shelf too in depth. I'll probably show that more in our barn cleaning video. All right, I think we're ready. Let's get started. Zoop. Okay, so this is our milking room. These two totes right here are some milking and lambing stuff. They're not the immediate stuff. They're just stuff that I need to have handy. That's why they're on the top, and that I need to look in and see and know that's where they are. They got all messed up during the season, so I gotta pull them out and kind of sort through those. But those are the two things that are kind of the big thing that I'll be working on in the house, is sorting through these two things. And then we have our lamb tote, and this is the emergency well, not even an emergency, just the go-to bucket that I will just take and go if I see a lamb in labor, I see it close. That's the stuff I need in the moment when it's happening. So that's my little to-go tote, and I will go and sort through that as well. All right, so I have my 3 bins here. I am going to go through and sort everything that's in there. Some of it is going to be on the list because these are lambing specific. Other things are milk specific. And so I'll kind of highlight some of the stuff that's on the lambing, mostly because that's what we're talking about. But I will also maybe show just really quickly some of the other things in here that we use for our milking, because you'll see me pulling them out, and I'll just really quickly just kind of go, hey, so this isn't here too because of blah, blah, blah. So right now I have my list, and we are just going to go ahead and get started. The first thing that we have on our list is lubricant, and I saw it in here. It's pretty easy to spot because it's bright blue. I thought that we were like half empty, but it turns out we're about 3/4, and so we've got plenty. So I am just going to take our list and do a quick check, something that I don't need to worry about. I have a bunch of different first aid antiseptic bottles. This one is hydrogen peroxide. That's for us if we have any like cuts and bruises. This is an antiseptic cleansing for if I need to puncture the skin, like slice the skin a little bit, then this is really good. It's like a surgical one. And then I have triodine solution, number 7. It's an antiseptic disinfectant too. So those are really nice to have on hand, but again, not necessary. And we have a lot of them. California mastitis test. This is for checking for mastitis. This is a milk thing. So because the bottles were medical, they're going to go in one separate area, and because mastitis is for our milk, that's going in another. Our lambing stuff I'll put over here in this back corner because this is where the tote is, the tote that I take when the mommies are actually having their babies. So everything that's lambing wants to go over here, and then we'll have medical, and then we'll have milking because it all is different. I do have some sunscreen and bug spray type things just because when we're out there sometimes I forget to put them on. These are pretty empty, so I might need to restock those. This is the iodine solution for the umbilical cord I talked about. It is huge because it's mostly made for cattle. So this is really nice for big animals, but we don't have any large animals. So I'm thinking we're going to sell these and then just use smaller containers for, and then use smaller plastic containers that we can purchase and buy. Hand sanitizer, this is for the milking room when I'm milking. If for some reason my hands get dirty, before I put gloves on or after, I like to have some of this there just to kind of make sure my hands are clean. It's empty, so I need to refill it or get a new one. This is the Prohibit, the dewormer we use. This is an empty bag because I wanted to make sure that the next time we bought one, I knew exactly what we purchased. I could take a picture, but a lot of times because I have so many pictures and I have kids and I have a farm, that this kind of stuff gets lost. So I like to keep these. And so this is going to be in medical as well. I have measuring spoons for putting in the bleach and soap solutions into the water for milking when we clean our milking system. So that's also going to go into milking. Okay, here we go. We have needles. This is 20G 1/2 inch. And we have 12-ish. There's probably a little bit more than that because there's some stuck at the bottom. So I'm going to find the paper that had the needles. And I'm going to mark the size that we have. I have to do research on if these are the correct ones that we need. Even if they are, I want to make sure that we have plenty, so they're still going to be on the list, so I'm not really checking them off. So my little tote actually needs a little explanation because it is not set up currently for lambing. It is set up for lamb care. And so that's tagging, that's shots, that's dewormers, that's docking, or castrating. And so this is not set up for lambs. And so I need to kind of gut it out and then start over and put in the right materials. So we have gloves, and it looks like we have way more than I thought. I thought we had 2 left, but we actually have a lot. We have a lot, more than I think we need for 4 sheep. So that will go on our checklist that I have it and I don't need to buy it. I won't need all of them in the container to take with me into the barn when a sheep is in labor. I'll probably keep 2 or 3. If we have gotten through 3 sets of gloves, that is us in an emergency. And we're going to be scrambling around anyway, so it's not the end of the world if I don't have a ton in here. I'll just make do and figure things out. Keep in mind, you only put 1 hand into the sheep to grab a lamb. The hole is not big enough for 2 hands, so that is why we only need 3 and not 6. Here's the feeding tube. We haven't used it. Obviously, it's still in its bag, but it's in there just in case. That's one I forgot. So one of the things I forgot to mention is that one of our girls, the first year, her lamb was huge and we had to pull pretty hard to get the baby out. It was a tight squeeze. And so she actually had a swollen vulva in the back. And one of my farmer friends, my sheep friends, mentioned putting hemorrhoidal cream on her rear to kind of help with the swelling. So we have some of that, and I'm going to put that in here as sort of a post-lambing ewe care. It can all be in here anyway because this usually hangs out in the barn for the first few hours after a sheep has had a baby, just so that we have everything out there when we need it. Like I said, this is a docking castrating tool we band. So you put the band on there and you squeeze and then you put it over and let go. We don't need this in lambing. We usually dock within a week. Tagging, again, we don't do this until about a week after the babies have been here. So we have them, but we won't need them. These are the numbers, and then these are the backs, and then these are the bands. We're keeping some gauze in the lambing kit as well. This isn't so much for the sheep as it is for us. If for some reason we're out there and we're dealing with the sheep and we get injured, it's nice to really quickly just kind of wrap up whatever it is that you got. We usually get a scratch or 2, but if it's anything more serious, gauze is really helpful. We ourselves need to prepare for some first aid in case things go wrong. Syringes, I need to clean these. I've used them in the past, so they have medicine in them, so I just need to kind of go and soak them a little bit to make sure that they're clean and fresh so that I can just really quickly pull in anything that needs to be done with the sheep. If you choose not to shear before lambing, these are really handy in case the baby gets stuck in the wool. Mine are in pretty bad shape, so I'll need to take care of those as well. And then 2 different sets of squeezers in case the babies get gunk in their nose and throat and need to be sucked out. So I keep these in here as a precaution. You can use hay and straw to kind of get them to sneeze it out. These really worked well for our babies, our kids. And I've heard they work really well for the sheep. We haven't had to use them, but I keep them there just in case. So bulb syringes, I am checking off. Feeding tube, I'm checking off. Banding equipment, tags. I know we have bottles and nipples. I don't have them with me. I forgot to bring them, but I do have them. I will bring them over here and show you in just a little bit. The scale and hanger, I know that it is in the barn. Again, I have it. I forgot to grab it to show you guys, but I know I have it. Small gloves for when you have to go in and pull a lamb. These are like one size fits all, so they can get pretty big. So a lot of people will put the long, big one and then slip on a tighter one so so they can get a better grip on the sheep. So that is what we are going to be trying for this year. We also use this for milking, which is why it's pretty empty. I am not checking this off my list because I know I need to get another box or two for the milking itself, and then I'll keep kind of these extra less full container for the lambing. Permethrin, this is for ticks. So if we see an outbreak of ticks, we will put a little bit of it along their backs to keep the ticks away. So that'll go in medicine as well. This is the oral syringe. This is the thing you shove down their throats to, oh man. Okay, this needs to be clean too. It's getting stuck. Yeah, we need to do some like rust stuff on this because it is pretty bad. This is the syringe. If it was cleaner, it'd go down faster, but that's what you do. This is not a lambing thing. This is more for use if they're struggling afterwards. We have 2 of these, so we have double those. I believe we had one and then we couldn't find one. My husband lost it and then he bought another one and we of course found the first one. So that's why we have 2. My really beaten up lambing book, I kept that out in the barn for a while because it had a really good ratio of food per head of sheep. So that's why that's out there. Hoof trimmers, not necessary for lambing, but will be over with the shearing. I've got breeding dye on my fingers. That's why they're blue. That's why I'm looking at it going, why is that in there? This is actually something for vitamins. This probably should have been on the list, but I also had other shot type things. This is more of something you put down their throats, but it is a Nutri-Drench, and it is a vitamin shot to give the lambs right after birth to give them just a bunch of vitamins to help them thrive. We have not used this. Our sheep have done fine without it, but we keep it here in case there is a lamb that is not doing well that needs a little help. And I'm actually going to add that to my list for lambing supplies because I kind of forgot about it, and it's kind of one that's not a, I'll probably put that in the nice to haves. Some people will probably put it in the needs, but it's nice to have on hand in case you have lambs that are struggling. I have the Nutri-Drench. I have the hoof trimmer. We checked on a previous video whether I had the pink eye solution. I just showed some books. This is only one we have, but I have a few others that I keep in the house. I like to take at least one out into the barn, mostly the one that's easiest to find certain things. This one I have marked, like I said, ratio of feed. The other ones don't have that chart, so I picked this one. So the only thing on my lambing checklist for the nice to haves that I haven't checked off is a knife, which I'm pretty sure we have one around that I could grab. I just don't have it here with me. And then CDT shot. We absolutely have that. I don't know how much we have, so I need to double check if we will be able to get through all the adults as well as however many sheep. And the best way to gauge how many lambs we could potentially have is about 2 per sheep. All of our sheep have either had 1 for their first year or twins. The only one that ended up having triplets isn't with us anymore because she had problems both times she labored. So we couldn't keep her. And so for me, for judging like how much stuff do I need per lamb, it's really kind of 2 per mom and then a little extra in case we end up with a triplet or a quad or quintuplets. Quints? That's really rare. Anything I get will be based on 8 lambs. Oh, okay, so we talked about this, but I didn't check it off when I was looking through things, but the long gloves, don't need to order those. Short gloves I am keeping unchecked because I know I need to order more. Oh, for the later in the list, the dextrose, that I think takes a different needle and a different syringe. So that's why I'm not checking those off. Emergency contacts list, I have the paper. We're going to talk about that in the video that's coming up on what to do when things don't go right in lambing. And so I will walk through and fill that out then. So I'm not checking that off here, but I have stuff printed out for it. Just haven't filled it up. Bottles and cups for iodine. I didn't see the iodine in here, actually. This is another mastitis. We'll just go through this real quick so that I know what we have. Ivermectin, this was a dewormer that we were using for a while that worked for about a year or two and then just decided not to work. So we have it, but we've been using something else. Bug and wasp spray. My husband is terrified of anything flying that resembles a bee, so he likes to keep the wasp and hornet sprayer out there. We do get them every so often, and he freaks out, so that's why that's in there. This is my original hand milking step guide. I printed it out and I stuck it on the wall so I remembered what to do. And also for anyone coming on the farm that needed to hand milk as well. But now we have the machine, so the steps are a little different. But I like to keep this in there just as a, oh, that was my first year. All right, this stuff needs to be clean, but here is our thermometer and it is currently working, so that is good. This is not super accurate. This is an old one and it's been out there for a bit, so I might cave in and get a new one. We'll see. Tweezers, this again is not for lambing, this is for ticks. This is to pull ticks off the dog, off the cat, off me, off the animals. This and the bleach is to put in the water to clean the milker, the milking machine. Apple cider vinegar is really good for ewes to put in a little bit in their water so that it helps with their stomachs during pregnancy. It helps actually throughout the year. And then that is it for what I have in front of me. I know I have a hairdryer. I didn't need to get that. I just use the one that I own. I don't keep one separate. If we have a lamb that's having issues, we bring it inside. So there's no reason to keep the hairdryer outside. An old blanket. I need to go find one at the thrift store. Storage bin. Again, we have one somewhere that has a hole in it that we can use. I just need to collect it. I think it's just right outside. I don't know where my iodine solution is. Gotta look for that. Kelp and minerals and loose molasses. We have all of those. Kelp I actually have ordered and I need to pick up in about a week because they do a drop off. So I'm checking that off because I ordered that and it's on their way. Scissors, I'm going to double check. Pretty sure we have a pair out there, but I might grab one or buy one from the Dollar Tree. Just have it where I want it. Rope, I know we have rope somewhere. The selenium, I don't know where that is. I know I don't have LA 300. I need to go get that. The only other thing that I have in here that I can show you is some cute little sweaters. These are going to be for little sheepies that are too cold. We are lambing a lot sooner this year than we normally do, so it's going to be cold. And so we bought 2 sweaters. I believe this red one is kind of the better size. This is kind of what I'm looking for. Lambs are really not that big. It can kind of sit on them like that. Hope you can see. You know, cut this off and it'll keep them nice and warm. This other one I have, it's a lot bigger. So I would have to do a lot more cutting to make it fit. But it was the only one I could find that was relatively small. The red one was in a kids section, and it was the only one I could find in the kids section. This was in like a women's small. So I think the next time I go, if I don't find them in the kids, I'm just not going to buy it because I think this one's just too big. I do have on the list 2 to 4 sweaters, and because I only have one that's small, I'm not going to check that off because I really like 2 or 3 that are about this size. And then just have like maybe one as a backup for if for some reason we end up with quads, or we do have we have 2 moms that should labor within a day of each other. So it could be we end up with 3 to 4 lambs, maybe more, that need a little something, so I want to have extra. And I believe they were like $4 or $5 at the thrift store, so they really weren't that expensive. I realized a lot of these things actually aren't in this particular section, so I'm actually going to take the camera and go to the other locations where I have sheep things to show you what they look like and where I have them. So this is my laundry room. We have a closet where we have some of our medical stuff for the sheep, so the lighting is not going to be really great, and because of the way I have to hold my phone, the letters and stuff are all going to be reversed. So I apologize for that. But I will show you what the bottle's face looks like, what the cover looks like, and you guys can go online and see if you can find the same or similar items. We keep everything that is dangerous, medical, or has glass up on our top shelf. We have little kids running around. Even though they're not really allowed in the laundry room, we want to make sure things are as safe as possible. So that is why they are on the top shelf. One vitamin container that I forgot to mention that is really good is called CMPK D3 Drench. Like I said, it's going to be kind of backwards, but it looks like this. At least this bottle does. I think the labeling has changed a little bit. But it is really good for if your ewe is down after labor. We usually will do this and a vitamin B complex as sort of our first round of, she needs help. This combined with maybe a little bit molasses in their water, and then we will go on to other things if we think that she needs it. This is the vitamin AD injection. It is glass, so that is another reason why it is up there. It has one of those little plastic tops that you can put a syringe in. And then right next to it, we have our fortified vitamin B complex. This is the absolute go-to for pretty much anything. And so this is one of those you should always have on hand. It is this full, so I won't mark that off because I have a feeling we might need another one. But I don't know if I want to buy it until we feel like we need it. So that one's the one I'm going to have to think about. I didn't mention that the A&D is all the way at the top because, like I said, we don't use it very often. They do have expiration dates. So I asked some of my farmer friends, do you follow the expiration date or do you kind of wait and see? Like you try it and then if it doesn't work and it looks like maybe it's old, you go get a new one. A lot of my farmer friends don't even bother. They're just like, this stuff usually will last a while unless it's moldy. The stuff in here is pretty clear. So if you start to see weird chunks and things floating around, mold, they're like, that's kind of when you know that something's wrong. Our CMPK actually got like crystallized and was like chunky. And so that one was like, oh, that's not good. And then one other one that we have that I'll just mention here, because someone mentioned this when we had really bad worms, and our girl was down and really needed a energy boost. It's a Merrick's Blue Ribbon Power Punch. So this is what it looks like. And it was a really good way to give her just a little bit of an energy boost. Okay, don't judge me on my lack of organization skills for our cabinets. But this is kind of what we're working with. At the very bottom, that's where my kids get into a lot of the stuff. So down here is like boxes that they can't really get into, or things that I'm not too concerned that they're going to break. So first we have, and it's still in the bag because we haven't used it yet, but it is our Prolapse harness. And then here's the harness scoop. So fancy stuff. This was recommended by Sandy Brock from Sheepishly Me. She's another YouTuber. She's a shepherdess. And she mentioned combining the two. And I really like that idea because she's like, it just covers all the bases and it really holds everything in there. We had a big bag of sugar around here somewhere. My husband bought a big bag and I don't know what he's using it for. So if he's using it for something specific, I will let him keep it. If he's using it for just food items, then I might be able to pull some. I have kept some tubes. This is for lambs if they break their legs. And so it is going to be backwards, but this is our lamb milk replacer. So this is not the colostrum, this is the milk replacer. I had a feeling if I looked hard enough, I'd be able to find it. So of course, in absolutely the wrong place is our powdered colostrum. So I was able to find it for you guys. This is what it looks like. This is the kind we have. Again, sorry for the words being turned around. But it's Land O'Lakes. Land O'Lakes is a highly recommended brand for powdered milks. So we've always used them and they've always done really well. You can see the little sheepy on the side. Well, this is what it looks like. They don't need a ton. Colostrum really is kind of the first few days and then you switch over to the powdered milk. That is really important to know, is to have both of these if you are choosing to do powdered milk, colostrum, and milk replacer. Bottles, I've got a ton of them. They're all in this little container. Nipples, the blue containers that screw onto the top, so it goes like this. This is a milk feeder for bottle babies. It allows a bunch of lambs to eat at the same time. So we have this. if we decide to pull some of our lambs and to bottle feed them. So the only two things that I don't have and I can't seem to find is the lamb puller and the iodine solution. So some of that stuff I was like, I thought we had, but I don't know where it is. So that is why we go through this list, is to give us plenty of time to find those things, as well as to put on the list things you need to order, things that are low that maybe you thought you had, but you realize, oh, it only has a little bit left. So that is our list for today. As you can see, I'm so organized and I have everything in one place with labeled and boxed it, and no, everything is random. These are in the kitchen, there's some in the laundry room, there's some out in the barn, there's some in the little dresser out in the barn. It's better to have it all in one place. But if you're like me and everything's all over the place, then that's what you work with. And then you realize for next year, maybe there's a better way to organize this. And maybe that is a video for another day. All right, that is it for our lambing prep series. We will have other separate videos on lambing. Things like, how do you know when your ewe is close to labor? What does it look like when a ewe is actually going into labor? How to cope with the stress of lambing season, and how we set up the barn for lambing. So stick around for those videos. This lambing series was about making your list, sorting through your supplies and figuring out what you need, as well as helping you all figure out how to buy and purchase some of the supplies that you'll need for this upcoming lambing season. If you like this video, give it a good thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified the next time we upload a video. You can follow us on social media at Ewe and Me Creamery. That's EWE for you, Ewe and Me Creamery, on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!